Hello, we are in day 6 of Inktober Tangles challenge. I'm Anica Gabrovic, a certified Zentangle teacher from Croatia, and I'm drawing this big artwork composed of tangles. Each day we have a new tangle. The list was drafted by Stephanie Jennifer, and I decided to stick with that list. One of the reasons is to just show you that you can combine any tangles and you can use them any way you want to, finally have a piece of art that you will appreciate. Appreciation is a big part of Zentangle process. So today's tangle requires a little bit more space. It's roundish, it looks quite complex, but not when you draw it one stroke at a time, which is the Zentangle way of doing things. And I want to show you how to do it without, being overwhelmed once you see the tangle completed. So we will take it one step at a time. And you will find a link to Stephanie's document with step-by-step deconstructions in the description. I will nest this tangle here because I need a little bit more space for it. And I will start with 4 C shapes. So you can also maybe draw just kind of a string for it, a roundish space, but I want to do it a true Zentangle way, one step at a time, one stroke at a time, without worrying about how it will finally look or what it will finally look like. So I'm starting with these C shapes. The one is on the opposite side, and then 2 on each side of these 2. And rotate your paper as you draw. I'm not doing it too much, or at least I try not to do it too much, so that it's easier for you to follow what I'm doing, because if I'm rotating it all the time, then if you are following my process, then you kind of, and if you draw along, you kind of need to rotate yours so that it's in the same position as mine, and I want to avoid it. I want to make it easier for you. So now I have these 4 simple ribbons that are going out from the central part of each of these C lines, and we are going to connect those ribbons with wavy lines. Again, it's just an I and a C shape that we are using so far. How simple is that? If you know how to write letters I and C, you can draw this. And now I'm going to connect the lines. It's better to draw them a little bit shorter so that you can then add to it. And I think that just to make it clearer and less busy, I will ink in these spaces right now. So the little spaces between the ribbons and the C shapes, I'm inking them in. Just take your time to enjoy this part, because it's the part where you don't need to think about, oh my God, what do I do next? What if this goes wrong or not? Just relax and use it to calm down. And then we will move to the next step. And this is basically extending this line. Oh, I'm sorry. I will first draw an aura line around these, and I will extend those ribbons and draw an aura line. So I didn't try this tangle before. I'm looking at the step outs as I'm drawing them. You can't see my iPad, but it's here. So don't think that I have everything in my head, because my head has a very limited, or my brain has a very limited capacity, and the capacity is reducing. as we speak of it. So I'm using the step outs as same as you. And now I'm going to connect these with little C shapes. So I'm kind of imagining that this line goes below the ribbon and then continues on top, and the two are connecting. And another thing that I also want to share with you, I've been drawing for more than 8 years now. I've been doing this kind of work full-time for 5.5 years or so, since I quit my job and started this business. And I want you to know that for the first, I don't know how many years, I wouldn't have the courage to do this live, to do this like without any practice, to draw and to speak at the same time. So it's something that I learned throughout the years, and I wasn't always relaxed about it. I was nervous about it before, and it gets easier as you do it. So please don't think that you should compare yourself to me if you are less experienced. Don't think that I was never intimidated about this. I was. And I promise you, if you just keep drawing for fun, and if you keep enjoying it, it gets easier and easier. And the paradox is, the less you care about making mistakes, the easier it is not to make them. Well, I'm done. This is the tangle. I just concluded it with an aura line around it, but of course you can draw, add more details to it, and in fact I'm going to add another aura line. And one of the versions or tangulations of this tangle that Midori Furuhashi, who deconstructed the tangle, shows in her step outs is this one, with an aura line around it. And if you look at Midori's deconstruction, you will see that mine is not the same as hers, and yours will not be the same as mine. For example, these little ribbons that start from the center are much longer in my version than in Midori's, and even when you try to replicate something, it will not happen the same way as the thing that you are trying to replicate. Yours will be a reflection of your individual style, of your level of skill, of the moment that you are in and the mood you are in, of the number of coffees you had just before you started drawing. So dive into the process knowing that yours will not look like anybody else's, and that it's fine. Okay, I drew a little ornament or embellishment inside of this, and now I will just add another aura line. And as I said, I'm doing now a version that's very similar to what Midori showed in her deconstruction. And I'm adding these lines that connect my aura line with the previous aura. And that's it. Now I just need to shade and highlight it. So it took 10 or so, almost 10 minutes to draw this. As I said, it's not the easiest one. It's very round and organic in a way, but structured in the way that it's constructed. Very interesting. I love it. Midori is a Japanese CZT, a wonderful artist, not just Zentangle artist. I will add a little shade next to each of these lines, just on one side of it. So again, I'm not practicing any particular shading theory. It's more like a Zentangle way of shading, adding some contrast between certain sections of the tangle. And then blending those shades and making decisions about what to do next as I go. No overthinking. So because of the way that I shaded this, and you can see me jumping just from one thing to another, it's very much what I do in my daily practice when I prepare my video classes or live or any kind of classes. I try to be more systematic about what I do, but I'm trying to keep this process very similar to what my daily art practice looks like. So it might be a little bit messy and not structured, but it's the way that I do it. I just jump from one thing to another, and so maybe not to get bored with doing the same thing or working on the same thing for a long time. And now for the highlights, I will highlight the side that's not shaded. So I'm adding, and you know, when you use this general pencil, especially on a gray tile that's not really, doesn't have a lot of contrast compared to the white pencil, so because it's very light gray color, you really need to push. You need to, you know, don't have a light grip. I have a heavy hand, and it helps with this kind of a supply. So try to really push with your pen so that as much as possible this white charcoal integrates with the paper. And I'm just adding this shiniest highlight next to my black lines to increase the contrast again, and maybe also on the top of this layer below the black line again. And that's it. That's Midori's Tangle. And I'm not sure that I even said the name. The name of the tangle is Bahn. And Bahn, for those who don't know, is basically the way that in German language they call a train, a special kind of train, so that goes over the ground, if I'm not mistaken, or at least mostly. Thanks once again for spending time with me, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.